Alright, my dear viewers, welcome to another video. That's not a Let's Play. That's not a Let's Play, but we'll be doing something slightly different that I kind of just wanted to do. Before we start though, the reason why there haven't been any Let's Plays is because I've had problems recording them. There's been some stuff going on IRL too, so I didn't get around to record them as much, but I also had some problems with the software I'm using here and this whole, thing. So, couldn't record them, but they're not cancelled. I'm working on them. In the meantime, I wanted to make a tier list of SpellForce 1 units. Now, I don't know if you can... Maybe I can move this around. I can't. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but I'll remove my camera for a bit. There's all the units from the actual base game. There are no units from Shadow of the Phoenix, which I don't think is really a bad thing, because the only units that have been added are siege units, and what do you call the other ones? The swarm units, like the dogs and all of that. Now, all of those are kind of the same strength, right? Just in a different race. So I don't really care that much for them. So we're just going to rank the base ones. Now, how are we going to do this ranking before we get into it? I want to do it on how useful the unit is. And also, like, in how many situations that unit is useful relative to how much the unit costs, right? So, I don't have anything open on the side, which might have been a good idea, thinking about it, to check a little bit of the information for the units, but let's just go with them, right? Let's just go with them. And we're going to start with the armsman here, with this guy. Now, also, excuse me if I mispronounce some of the names. Sometimes I play this game in German. I'm not the most familiar with the English names, so maybe, right, it might be a bit different. But the armsman. Honestly, though, I would put the armsman into A tier, and there's a reason for it. I think the armsman is the first, like, proper upgrade for the recruit when it comes to melee units. Now, he's sort of expensive, but not too expensive. I think it's 70 iron, right, for this one. You need 2 buildings, but I think he's solid all around. Well, actually, I don't know. I'd say let's leave him in A tier for now, but we might, switch things around a little bit as time goes on. I will try to give reasons for why I think something is in a particular tier, but, there might be situations where, maybe it's just things move around. But yeah, I think A tier is a solid start, and he's a good benchmark unit, actually, for this. But okay, let's leave him in A tier. Actually, we should... Can I rename the tiers? Oh, I can. Okay, so this is... Let's do this one. Is... kind of like make every map, or no, let's say make... Oh, I just opened my browser's thingy here. Make whenever you can. That looks horrible. You know what? Just leave it at S tier. You know what I mean. But okay, cleric. I do think a cleric is better than a recruit. I do think that, because he can heal. That's already a big bonus. I'm not gonna take into consideration what avatar you're playing as, because that can vary greatly, right? Like, sometimes if you have a healer, the clerics might not be as useful, but for now, I think with the cost they've got, I think they fit well into A tier. Now, assassins, right? I'm still deciding on them. So assassins, they're not bad, but they're crazy expensive. And I think genuinely that Dark Elves have better units. So I'll put them in D tier. One of the reasons why I'm putting assassins in D tier as well is because the upgrade that they get is absolutely useless. It's a waste of iron. For those of you who don't know, you can upgrade them so that when they die, they pull low HP enemies of the same or lower level with them into their death. Which, if you've played this game, you know that playing on a map with enemies the same or even lower level than your own units just doesn't really happen. There might be like 1 or 2 maps, and I'm not even sure if you play with Dark Elves on them, so not good in my opinion. So we'll leave these here. They're not bad, right? They're not bad, but generally not the best. Also, I am taking upgrades into consideration with this, right? So if a unit can be upgraded in a good way, right, it's going to bump them up or bump them down a little bit, depending. Now, what's this? Battlemaster. Is this Battlemaster? Craig, I like to call this one Craig Unshalach. honestly, I think I'd put them A tier. I think for what it's worth, they're not that expensive when it comes to Dark Elven units, and pretty solid at what they do. And I think the upgrade you can give them is pretty good as well. So I'd put them here. Not sure if everyone sees it that way, but that's where I'm gonna put them. I mean, you guys can disagree with me in the comments. Everyone makes their own tier list, right? For as much as you do. I'm thinking right now. Death Knight, I will put into B. Death Knights are good, but I feel like they're a little bit more expensive. It at least feels like it. They need Lenya too, right? So they're a bit expensive. They use 2, I think, Moon Silver and Lenya. So they use 2 tier 2 resources, or tier 3, I guess, depending on how you want to call them. They're good, but their upgrade with Pestilence, I just don't feel like it hits that hard. So I'll put them in B. I don't quite think they're, like, price to performance, you know, looking at all that, I don't think it's that good. Now, Havocs, I'm gonna put into S. Havocs are our first S tier. And I'll put them into S just because they have a good spell. The summons they summon also have amazing spells. They do solid damage without the spells, even just like PAM hitting, you know? All of that. So yeah, I think Havocs definitely an S tier unit. They're expensive, I'll give you that. So they're not gonna be at the top of my S tier, but they're you know, just like the full package with the Dark Elves. Necromancers, on the other hand, oh, Necromancers I'm a bit torn on, right? I'll put Necromancers because I feel like they're a bit expensive. They're not bad, but like, if I'm already spending a lot, right, might as well get Havocs. Huh. I'll put them B. I'll put them B, but above the Death Knights here. And that's also where, well, I think that's also where I'm gonna put these, maybe here, maybe on A. What are these guys called in English? I forgot, but you know, these guys here, the icon I'm moving and zooming around right now with. I'll put them here because I like that they have a spell. I like them more than Assassins, because I don't feel like their cost is that absurd. And I just feel like, personally, they bring a lot more to the table compared to an Assassin. Now, Hexers I will put S tier. Or maybe, let me think. They're a bit expensive. Might put them top of A tier. Hexers here. But then, I'll put them top of A tier. I think, generally, and we'll see this with a lot of units, you can, for example, orcs, right, once we get to totems, units that can spam spells, especially magic spells, and that will generally tend to be very, very high up in here. And now the last big bad, honestly, I'll put this one into B tier. I think, so here's my reasoning, right, here's my reasoning. I think it's a better version of this guy here, but it costs a lot more to make, and I don't think that's worth it. Now, he does have the cool passive of, you know, turning into a spider, I think, if you kill him at night or something like that, but I just don't think it's that worth it, and I think you might even have to upgrade this. So, yeah, because of the upgrade costs, right, for both of these, for the Necromancer and for this guy, I think I'm gonna keep them a little bit lower here, because it's pretty expensive. Like, you need to like cash out like 500 Aria or something, which is not a little, right? So that would be all the Dark Elves. So I guess we can move this one elf here, the Druid. Now the Druid, I think we can, damn. You know, I'm gonna put the Druid in S tier. However, there's a caveat. The Druid, I think is S tier on maps where you play versus the undead, especially because of Hallow. The reason why she's up for every map, like pretty high A or S tier, is because ooh, excuse me, is because she's really, really good at what do you call it? Healing, right? She's got an aura of healing, which kind of reduces waste. you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a cleric, and if you have someone like where's the healer, the elven healer down here probably. There we go. The elven healer, they can kind of waste it with multiple of them healing the same person. But these guys over here, I feel like I'll put them S tier, but probably like the lower end of S tier. Dwarven priests I'm putting straight into D tier. Now, the thing with dwarven priests is they're kind of like, they're supposed to be the healing unit, right, for dwarves, but more often than not, I feel like the dwarves either don't need it, really, or if the priest does it, it just kind of doesn't trigger that well, combined with the fact that, you know, they're just not good at fighting either. I think D tier is a pretty good spot for them. Unlike defenders. Now, defenders, mind you, S tier, top of S tier for now. And I feel like defenders might stay at the top of S tier. And the reason for that is, I think defenders are just, how do I put this? I think defenders are a, like when you upgrade them, probably the strongest kind of like ranged and melee unit put into one. Because they're tanky, they can do melee, they can nuke enemies when they like, when everyone just, you know, smacks them. So I think I can leave them at top of S tier comfortably. They're not even that expensive. Neither is the upgrade compared to some other ones. So I'll put them there. The only drawback dwarves really have is that these units take a while to be produced, but even so, I think they're still pretty good. Now, moving on from probably the best unit, there is one unit though, there is one unit who I think might be a contender for this spot, which we'll get to fairly soon. Now, this guy here, this mad lad, F tier. I just have to. His whole idea is that he destroys buildings. And I will say, if this unit had the ability that siege units have in SpellForce 2, where he would just like have a spell that kind of like goes from him onto buildings to destroy them, that would be good. That would be amazing, actually. But he doesn't. He does do a lot of damage to buildings, but it's kind of useless, right? Because regular units do fine damage to buildings. So I don't think this one's necessary, and I'm going to keep him here. Now, the Elder. I'll be honest with you, I almost never make the Elder. I've played this game so many times, and I almost never make the Elder. But I reckon he's not that useless for how much he costs. I'm going to put him into C tier. Really. He might be better than I'm giving him credit for, but I just don't have that much experience with him. Right? I just don't know. I'll put him here. I'm happy with this. Now, the Elite, I will put into A tier. Probably here. The Elite is expensive, which kind of bumps him down a little bit. But with the upgrade and his resistances, he is a beefy boy when tanking up front. Like, he's super tanky for this. So I think I might switch things around a little bit depending on, you know, how I make the tiers. We'll sort it at the end once we finish, right? But I think here is just fine. Let's actually do these two together. So these two, honestly, like, they're good for what they are, but I'll put them here. Neither of them do a lot of damage. Neither of them is really tanky. They don't cost that much, but maybe a little bit too much compared to some other things. Like, compare him to a recruit here, to an armsman. I think the cost is not that different between them. I don't have it in my head, but I just never felt these two to be super useful. And I think the Watchman, the left one here, is just a little bit tankier than this one, but does less damage. And this one does a little bit more damage, but is less tanky than Militia. So I think these both comfortably sit here. Now the Warrior I'll put into B, and I'll put the Warrior into B, maybe even above here. The reason why I'm putting him this high, well, comparatively to some other dwarves, is because he's a solid all-rounder. I think it's a worse version of the Elite, but he has an ability to, like, strike around him, right? Which I think elevates him a little bit, in my eyes at least. So I'll put him here. I think that's pretty fine. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, we can leave him here. Okay, now... Mentalist, right? That was the Mentalist. Oh no, Enchanter. Was it a Mentalist or Enchanter? The defensive mage of the humans. Honestly, like, I don't know if that's a little bit too harsh, but I'll say F tier. Like the top of F tier for that guy. You never want to make him, like ever. And when you do, like he costs quite a bit, the upgrade's expensive for him, and he just does nothing. Because when you use Mentalist, right, and they stun people, I guess you could use it on the back line, might bump him a little bit up, but when you stun people and enchant them, if they get hit by anything, it breaks the enchant, right? So these are kind of useless. I don't like them too much. I don't use them that often. So we'll leave him here. We'll leave him here. I'm happy with this. If you disagree, let me know, but I'm happy with this. Perfectly fine. Healer. The healer's good. I don't think it's as good as the cleric, though. I don't think the healer is as good as the cleric. Now, the healer carries you through the early maps with the elves, but realistically speaking, once you get the druid, there's really no reason to get the healer anymore. Like, yeah, sure, they're not as expensive, but they can't fight that well either. So honestly, I'll put the healer at the top of B tier. Seems alright for me, I think, here. Yeah, let's keep him here. Let's keep him at the top of B tier for now, and then we'll see how it goes. Now, we have the second contender for top of the creme of the crop. Marksman with the upgrade. Can shoot, I think, 2 people at once, 2 enemies at once. And just the fact that it doubles it. It's a toss-up for me, right? Between defenders and marksmen with the upgrade. This could go either way. I will give it to the defenders based purely on the fact that defenders can also be melee units, even with the upgrade. So they're kind of like more of an all-rounder, whereas marksmen really specialize on that, like range damage. But if you have a good front line for them, they smack. So I think I'm going to put them like this. I think I'm happy with this, but there is a gap definitely between these two and the rest of S tier. Maybe I should put like the ultimate tier, even one above there, but let's leave it like this. Now the offensive mage. Offensive mage, I'll put at the bottom of B tier. Unlike the other mage the humans have that we put at the in F tier, I feel like this guy over here is like, he does damage, right? He does damage. It's useful. It has its use cases. Do I make this unit? Not really, no, but sometimes when I do, I think it's warranted, right? He has a place to do stuff in the army. And especially, like, obviously, many armies in SpellForce, when you make them, you just make kind of like 1 or 2 best units and smack everyone with them. Also, strategy is not that important in SpellForce, but if you want to diversify, these are always kind of like a good middle-of-the-pack addition to your army. So, yeah, we can do that. Okay. Then, drummers. Honestly, wait, what's the difference between drummers and what's the other one called? The hornblowers. I think one gives berserk and one gives like resistances. I think the drummer gives berserk. So I'll put the drummer in B tier. I'll put him here. Yeah, maybe between these. But the only reason why I'm putting him this high is because the drummers, well, they're not that expensive. And making 1 or 2, it can help your army out. Especially if you don't have any heroes with berserk. Warcry, not berserk. So I guess that can help out. So we're gonna put this guy in here comfortably. Not the best unit, not good at fighting, but at least, the little buff they get is decent. Now, these guys, what's the name? Warrior. Honestly, I think most orcs are kind of middle-ish of the pact. I'll put them at towards the top of B tier, but where do I want to put them? Honestly, probably here. Actually, middle of B. That's not the top of B. The reason being, I just don't think they're that good. They die very quickly. Their damage is mediocre. And all of the units above them are kind of like a lot better, I feel like. So I'm gonna put them here. No upgrade either. Fire Masters, Well, I'll put them A tier, but I think... Wait, where do I put them? Not that expensive. Maybe... Like, they're pretty good, but... You know what drags Fire Masters down for me? I'll put them here, but what kind of drags them down for me a little bit is that many of the maps where you play with the orcs, either you don't have them yet, or when you do have them, the enemies are super fire resistant anyway. So, you know, like we're thinking Shaldun in Breath of Winter. You know, do you even have them there? I think you might. But the Rift, right? Kind of fire resistant enemies, so they're not bad when you can actually utilize them. But you know, with the upgrade, it's, you know, it's just a strong spell. Wave of Fire hits three enemies, banger for that one. But I'll put them here. I'll put them here. Now these guys give resistances, I think, and I'll put these into D tier. I think I never make these. They look cool. They kind of look cool, but I never make them. They're kind of useless. I might be completely wrong, but I think someone told me at some point that they're bugged as well. So I don't know. I'll put them here. I never use them. I think they're better than these guys here because they still contribute a little bit, right? But not too much. Spearmen. Spearmen, I have a love-hate relationship with. Spearmen, I think... I don't know. With the upgrade, I'm thinking B tier. Can Spearmen... I don't know. I'll say with the upgrade, I'll put them above the Dwarven Warrior, but only because the upgrade, they can also hit multiple enemies, right? I think Spearmen are a little bit cheaper. Don't quote me on that. I'm not too familiar with how much everything costs, but I think they are. So we'll put them here. We'll put them here. I think everything else, I'm happy with how this is shaping up. Thugs. Now, those of you who've seen my Let's Plays know I hate thugs. Absolutely hate them. I never make them. There is one map in the entire SpellForce 1 trilogy, or I guess 3 games, right, where you make thugs, which is Breath of Winter, Stormcleaver Rocks. They're useless. I don't even like making them there, to be honest. They're super bad. Should I be fair and maybe put them above this kid here, the Dwarven guy? Because he's useless too, kind of. I'll do that much, but they're not good. They aren't good, and yeah, no, they're just bad. It's a bad unit. I'll put this never make or never use. I guess. Why do I keep opening this, man? I'm gonna close my browser. Never use. That's gotta be the never used here. Totem, on the other hand, Totem is going. Honestly, I think Totem is just a better version of the Hexer, especially with the upgrade. Now, he does... I don't even know, like, I think even resource-wise, I'll put the Totem at top of A. I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory. You nuke someone, he's got good upgrades, he's not expensive. It does take 2 resource types, but it's wood and Lenya, right? Like, you know, basically what like, most orcs use. So, not too bad, not too shabby. Now, veterans. I like veterans. I think veterans are good. Do I think they are... I think they're this good, actually. I think veterans are pretty solid. I think veterans are pretty solid. Many of them, it's usually my army when I'm playing with the orcs. I'll have veterans and I'll have totems, right? It's gonna be like my 1-2 punch in that. But veterans are my go-to melee unit, and I think they're pretty strong as melee units go. Kind of expensive, you need a lot of buildings to make them. But not bad. Not bad at all, and I'm sweating already. Now, paladins. Honestly, paladins kind of maybe a little bit better than orcs. No, are they? Maybe a little bit. Now, look, I'll put them above the veteran. But the only reason why I'm doing so is because they are also very good against undead, and they have an aura they can use. Sorry, not an aura. They use a spell, like to pluck people with, like buff people with. Which, you know, it's not the most useful of spells, but it's a spell, it's a buff. So I'll put them here. I think that kind of like pushes them a little bit above the veterans. But I'll put them like this. Oh, now the elves. Oh, the elves are tricky. The elves are tricky. Boy, I think the elves are gonna be... That's gonna be pretty disappointing, isn't it? Honestly, I'll put these guys into C tier. Actually... You know what? Bottom of B tier, Protector. I don't know. Maybe a little bit higher? I'll put them here. But the reason why I'm putting them in this like such a low position, they're not a bad unit per se, but they need iron, and elves can't collect iron on their own, or rather they can, but they don't have a building for it, right? So it's a real pain to do it with these. A real pain. They're not bad with the upgrade, they can be decent, but I'm not the biggest fan of them. So I'll put them here. Regular archers hate me for this, I'll put them C tier. That's tricky though, that's tricky, right? Like, they've... The thing is, right, like they're inexpensive. They don't do that much damage though, either, right? Like, I don't know. Honestly, top of C tier for now. I'll leave them at the top of C tier. Might bump them up a little bit, depending on, you know, how this looks to be shaping up. But I'll leave them here for now. Yeah, I think that's fair, because the reason is they'll get replaced fairly soon by a way, way better unit that you should always use when playing with the elves, right? So I think, you know, yeah, let's leave them here for now. Recruits, honestly, not bad. Not too expensive either. Solid unit, and you use the recruits for a very, very long time. I'm thinking now, did I put the cleric too low? I don't know. I mean, recruits aren't... Maybe cleric one more, like bump it up a little bit here. Recruit, I don't know, B tier? Top of B tier. I'll put the recruit at top of B tier. I was thinking putting it into A. It's not bad. But, you know, it's not that good either. It doesn't tank a lot. It's a solid unit, but not the best. Not expensive, though, which kind of bumps him up a little bit. Now, scouts. Oh, my God. I've got a... I know, scouts I have to put at the bottom of C tier. Like, they cost more than the Elven one, but they're kind of worse, because they need two types of resources, wood and iron. And they get replaced by the marksman, like, the second map you play with humans. Which kind of, like, you only use them for one map, if you think about it, right? And the scouts, they don't even have any redeeming qualities compared to the marksman. Like, are they even different in any regard? I don't really think they are that much, right? It's just the marksmen are better in every single way. But yeah, I'll keep them like this. I'll keep them like this and see how it goes. Oh, now the trolls. Ooh, I have to be honest with you. With the trolls, I'm not that familiar. But the thing is, that I don't know. We did play with them in the last playthrough, right? In the last episode of the Raven Pass. They're not bad. They're not bad. Oh my God! But the trolls between them, I feel like also distinctly, like looking at them, they're the hardest to differentiate. So I don't know. Well, I'll start with the champion. This might be a little bit divisive. I'll put the champion at the bottom of S tier. I think the champion is a I don't want to say underrated, but maybe underappreciated unit a little bit, because he's super strong. He's expensive, but he packs a vile punch. I think he's probably the strongest, like, melee unit in the game. Like, the single strongest one you can get. Maybe in line with the Havoc. Maybe. But they're both up there, so I'll put him pretty high. Now, what else can I rank high with the trolls? These guys I'll put into A tier. I put them like here, below the orc. The ones that can freeze, I'll put those also in A tier, but I'll put those above. I'll put them just because they can freeze, right? Oh, A tier is expanding. I'll put them here. A tier is expanding, definitely. Everything else? I don't know. Like, these are just kind of like whatever, right? I'll be honest with you, I can't really rank these. I can't do it. So, Should I just... Honestly, I just chunked it. I don't think any of them are bad necessarily. I just never used them. So I think... Honestly, I'll just... Kinda like smack them in B tier. This one might be a little bit better. I think this one's a little bit better. A bottom of A. But I'm going blind in this, man. I'm telling you, I'm definitely just like... This one's a little bit better, I think. There we go. I don't know. I never make them. Let's just put them like this for now. This might be a little bit disappointing, but don't lie to me. Don't tell me you can rank them. If you can, please tell me in the comments. But like, I don't even know their names in English, to be honest with you. So put them like this, kind of. Right. Should be good. And now we've got a couple of elves remaining. This archer over here, I'm putting directly into C tier. One reason, well, they need iron to be made. I'll put them at the bottom of C tier, actually. I don't like them whatsoever. They're expensive, their upgrade is expensive, they're not that good. And they get this next unit I have here, this woman, kind of just wipes the floor with them on every single, like, metric. She's not as tanky, but everything else is better. Now her, easy, I'll put her S tier. S tier at the bottom of... Is it the bottom of it? I'll put her at the bottom of S tier. I think... I don't know, man. Maybe even higher. I'm pretty happy with how S tier is shaping up, to be honest. Right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll put her there. The reason is you can get the ice arrow upgrades, which can like perma-freeze enemies when you're shooting them, which is absolutely broken. Like that's... Maybe, honestly, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe I'll put her here. I'll put her here. Because it's just super broken, like with it, but they're not even that expensive. Like the ability, once you have it, you just spam them, 80 of them, you beat any army, right? It's super, super strong. Not as strong as these two, and Havoc's would be a lot stronger. Honestly, though, I still think Havoc's are stronger. But these ones are not too bad. And the last two of the elves, let's do the General Warden. B tier. B tier, right about here. Reason being, I just see well, let me remove this for a sec. I'll do this for a screenshot at the end if anyone wants. But yeah, I'll put them here. Solid, you can upgrade them. Cost a little bit of wood, but elves got plenty of wood. You know, you can spam them. They can, you know, they can do decently well, I think. For the cost, which, you know, considering the elves is very, very cheap, I'll leave them here. And last but not least, we've got the Ice Mage, which, I don't know, expensive, kind of. Now, hear me out, if the, sorry, not down there, if the Ice Mage had the same ability as the Fire Master to like do a burst of ice with 3 enemies being hit, S tier, probably top of S tier maybe even, but they don't. So I think A tier is gonna have to do for them. A tier is gonna have to do. Would I move something around? Like, I'm not happy with how many of the trolls landed here, but then again, I just don't use them that much. Maybe I should do a test video for this. That might be a cool thing. Once I figure out how to record the game again and I solve these issues. But okay, let me remove my camera. This is gonna be my list at the end of the day. Yeah, kinda happy with how it turned out. Don't think it's too bad. But yeah, keep in mind, this is a mix of how effective they are, how often I use them, and how much they cost relative to how effective they are. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below or on Discord. I actually got this idea from some members on the Discord who were doing like their own tier lists, and I kind of just felt like making this video. So if you like it, please check out the Discord. Check out the description, right? Links there. And I'll leave the link to this tier list as well. You can open it, you can make your own tier list there, and share it with us. I'd be curious to see what you think and how you like rate the units in comparison. But okay, that'll be it for the video. Thanks for watching, as always. Look forward to new episodes. I will be making them ASAP. I just need to figure some things out, right, to do it. But once that's gone, we'll be there. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.